Hi, I'm Josh. If you run a company or a startup, you know it's not easy to outreach to customers to get them to want to try your product, to maybe perhaps want to learn more, and there's going to be hurdles along the way. Today, I have experts from all over the world. We've got somebody from Tel Aviv, a couple people from New York, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles. We're going to talk about some awesome tips. This is one of my favorite startup interviews we've ever done. We're going to see about you're going to learn how to look at who's talking to your competitors and how to get more information about who you should be talking to. We're going to look at how to throw away what doesn't work in your business so you can focus on what does work. We're going to talk about how to call your prospects that have tried your service but maybe haven't bought and find out what's keeping them from buying so that when you give away free information, you can lead them to purchase your product. We're going to look at a startup that thought, wow, we're saving people tons of money. This is a no-brainer. They should want to buy our product, and how that hurdle actually kept them, and now they're trying to overcome that hurdle by saying, wow, there's more education here than we thought. We're going to look at how testimonials can help you sell more and how free content can get people excited. We're also going to look at what is the #1 network for B2B companies to be on. We're going to talk to an advertising guru that's going to show us how they create content to be top of mind. Next, we're going to look at a social media safety app today on this very show and look at how there's some things you can't control in your startup, and you're going to want to know what those are because you're limited on resources, but you're going to want to at least know what they are so that if something goes wrong, you can plan for it. We're going to talk a little bit about influencers and how influencers can get you more information. And then one of the neatest things, one of the best quotes I think you're going to learn from is one of our guests is going to say, when you're selling somebody, there's going to be a lot of things that they don't know, but just let them know that we understand your business and what we're offering can actually help make your secret sauce a little better. I want to introduce, I'm so honored to be able to introduce all of our experts. I hope you enjoy this show. This video is brought to you by the Digital Growth Summit in Los Angeles on May 6th and in Sunnyvale, California on May 20th. Brought to you by Microsoft, 80 panelists across both conferences. You can get a virtual ticket by clicking the link below. For less than $100, you can learn from 80 different people. Pretty cool stuff. Enjoy the show. I want to thank all of my panelists. And here we go. We're going to talk about startup outreach and hurdles. First, I'm honored to have Dean Levitt, who owns Teacup Analytics. He's coming to us live from Tel Aviv, a tool that simplifies Google Analytics and was built with bloggers in mind. He's South African. He's in Tel Aviv right now. Next, we're moving over to Poonen Mathis. She's the founder of Stealthforce, an online platform to find talent for real estate projects on demand. And then we have Jeff. Jeff Kelly owns MysteryPotato.com, which I love. You get to send with his service an awesome gag GIF all over the world. These gag GIFs that he's going to talk about include potatoes and glitter bombs. Yes, you heard me right. We're going to talk about glitter bombs. Next, we have Carl McMillan. He's the co-founder and CTO of Raccoon, a mobile app that gives parents insight into their children's social media feeds. He's coming to us live from Washington, D.C. Next, we have Maria. Maria Wickvila founded Applicant Lab, a software tool to help candidates craft a personalized admissions package to graduate schools. Right now, MBAs, soon to be everything. And next, we have Steve. And Steve Vardy is a partner at Big Roadway. They create video advertising and content for brands. Steve's live in New York with us. I'm honored to have all of you here. First, I want to start with MysteryPotato.com. Let's jump over to Jeff. Jeff, you have this startup. Tell us real quick, when you unmute yourself, you have this startup that you have a full-time day job. Tell us about how you're getting Mystery Potato off the ground and what are your outreach tips or a couple hurdles.
So Mystery Potato is my part-time gig. It's the fun thing I've started on the side to really add some spice and adventure to what I do and to what my family does. And what we do is we send greeting cards, and we send greeting cards on potatoes or in envelopes with lots of glitter so that your friends have a big mess to clean up.
Can you show us a potato?
Oh, absolutely. I have two here. I have two excellent examples. So right now we're really hitting it with the high school market. And so you can do the math there. We're sending lots of potatoes that say prom or formal and a question mark. Some people put their name on them and some people don't. So that's kind of an adventure for later. Part of what we do is our messages can be anonymous. No one's going to know it's you unless you sign it. This is probably our all-time best-selling phrase, "You're a hot potato." We also sell others like "You're half-baked" or "Your idea is half-baked." We get a lot of half-baked references. We get a lot of unicorn references. So people have a lot of fun with it, and people make up all sorts of crazy things with the words starch or start, instead of start, spuds, spud, spuddy, potato, have a potato day, things like that. So some of our primary challenges are with the fact that the perceived value of a potato is very low. And so you go to the store, you buy a potato, you get a marker, you draw on it, right? That seems like a very simple thing. And so one of our primary challenges is to get over that with our customers and to show them that using what we can bring them through anonymously sending their gift to someone they love, to someone they're trying to send a message to, it makes sense, and that it's very compelling, and that they're becoming part of something. So we kill them with customer service, and we kill them with the messaging. So some of our marketing are things like glitter bomb your mom, right? What a great thing to do when you're in college to send some love back home is to send a glitter bomb to your mom and give her a mess to clean up, right? Won't she appreciate that and always remember you and think of you when she's cleaning up the glitter? So we get through it with kind of that broader experience that we're trying to give our customers. Another way we get through it as a business is we really have to explore the marketing. We have no idea what works. Sending this kind of message card to someone is completely new, and so we don't really know who's going to buy it. We don't really know who's going to want to tell their friends about it. We don't really know what kinds of messages they're going to want to put on the potatoes. So we really have to carefully explore different markets, different ideas, different demographics. We've tried everything from sporting events. We were at iHeartRadio Music Awards recently. Just do all sorts of different things. And we really focus on throwing away the things that clearly don't work and continuing to build on the things that do. And that's what's really built us up over time. And that's what has allowed us to get more and more press coverage as well. As we do more and more that resonates, there's more and more of a story there.
That's great. Okay, that's really good tips. I love your product. Next, we're jumping over to Maria at Applicant Lab in Los Angeles, not too far from where I'm at. Hey, Maria, talk to us about your biggest hurdle, one that's of persuasion.
Yeah, absolutely. So Applicant Lab, basically what it does is it provides the same step-by-step guidance to craft your admissions package to MBA programs. The same guidance that admissions consultants want to charge between $5,000 to $10,000 for, it does it for a fraction of the cost, and since it's a series of online interactive exercises and tools, it can be done on your schedule. So when I launched this product, I had my sort of formal launch about 6 months ago. I thought it was kind of a no-brainer value proposition. I have over a decade of admissions experience. I went to Harvard. I was a volunteer at the Harvard admissions office. And so when I launched this, I thought, well, this is, the second somebody sees this, they're going to, how will I be able to prevent all of the demand? Yeah. And what's happened is that I've had a lot of people come to the site and they poke around the site, and I have a bunch of stuff for free so they can test it out. And there's a lot of, when I talk to people, there's a lot of hesitancy, a lot of like, well, how do I know that it's really as good as an admissions consultant? How do I know that? And so my number one hurdle so far has been persuading them. Today it happens to be tax day. We're recording today on April 15th. I wonder if TurboTax had the same hurdle when they launched. Like, no, we promise. Just trust us. So I've been trying to overcome these hurdles through a number of ways. First of all, through my free modules, which we can talk about whether or not that's been a good choice or not. I'm sort of on the fence. I wonder if I'm giving away too much for free. But I've been trying to really leverage testimonials from happy customers, and I have been partnering with established companies. So far, those partnerships have served as, in some cases, overt endorsements, and in some cases as tacit endorsements to add to the quality of my product. And so far, I think that that those partnerships have been helping me a lot. And then the third thing that I'm doing is I'm starting to record more and more videos. So I'm planning to start uploading a bunch of YouTube videos so people can get to know me and see that there's a real person behind the software and that I really do know what I'm talking about, et cetera, et cetera.
That's really terrific. I think you have a couple of really great tips there. I want to come back to you and talk about your free content, perhaps, in a few minutes, because I think there's a hidden gem there. Next, let's jump over to Steve. Steve's in New York. Steve, you're a big Roadway, as we talked about. Talk to us about your new business development. First, tell us what you do real quick, and then also talk to us about lead generation and how you're working on that.
Sure. Well, Big Roadway is a creative agency that creates online video advertising and content for brands. We basically connect brands with their target audience, their consumers, their customers through the use of video, which you're seeing more and more as advertising changes pretty drastically. We're in that niche. Business development is our big hurdle. It's something that every business has to do, and it's particularly challenging if you're a new agency in an extremely competitive industry, trying to make a name for yourself and get your reputation out there. So we're exploring just about every possible avenue you might have. There's traditional types of business development, getting referrals, getting recommendations, things like that, hitting the network, doing all that sort of personal selling. But we're also getting much more heavily invested in social media, and in particular having a bigger presence on LinkedIn, which is a very strong B2B funnel to find and pursue prospects.
Yeah.
So becoming thought leaders, putting content on LinkedIn, commenting on the industry, making our expertise known is a big part of the game.
That's a really good tip. I like that. So key takeaway from you is B2B, go to LinkedIn, and you're going to really help on that. I love that. Let's jump over really quick. I want to jump all the way over to Dean in Tel Aviv. We're live in Tel Aviv in Israel. And now, Dean, you're South African, but you have a company called Teacup Analytics that really simplifies Google Analytics. And I wanted you to talk about, A, what do you do, and your startup, and then B, what's your approach to outreach or a hurdle perhaps you can share with us?
Sure. So Google Analytics is generally extremely complex. It's got a ton of data, and I found with my previous company where we did email newsletter, it was an email newsletter platform that was acquired by GoDaddy in 2014. I realized that thousands and thousands of small businesses all used Google Analytics unsuccessfully. They really struggled with it, but the intention to really learn from their data was there. So I developed Teacup Analytics to simplify it, and it's basically at its core, it's a library of reports in a Q&A format. Where did my traffic come from? Here's where it came from. Am I connecting with new visitors? Here's the answer to that. So really simplifies Google Analytics. For outreach, I actually follow something that's very well for me in the past, and it's working very, very well for me now, is to work with influencers. And I focus mostly on bloggers that are blogging either about the industries that I think would benefit from using their analytics in Teacup Analytics kind of format. That's small businesses, bloggers, media sites that are just starting out. I'm not going for enterprise or larger companies. So it's the small folks that would benefit from Teacup, and so the bloggers that teach them how to be successful, those are the ones I reach out to. And
I like that.
A technique that I have successfully used as well is to see who's talking about my competitors and reach out to them, because clearly they're already talking about the topic that is most useful and interesting to their readers, and I'm part of that story. So reaching out to these bloggers and influencers, I've certainly seen a lot of return.
That's great. See who's talking about your competitors. I like that reverse way of looking at it. Next, I want to jump over to Carl. Carl McMillan is the co-founder of and CTO of Raccoon. Hey, Carl, talk to us about, outreach-wise, you're in the social media safety space, which I'm kind of in as well as a speaker. you're going to mention to us a little bit about the FBI and how you support security measures. Talk to us real quick about A, what does Raccoon do? B, how does it protect? And then C, how do you grow users on your app?
Absolutely. So Raccoon is all about social media monitoring. It's basically an app you're going to put on both your phone and your kid's phone. Once the app's installed, we automatically grab all of the social media activity from your kid, what they see and they send, and we run it through some complicated algorithms to basically pull out what you as a parent would be concerned about. One of the big things we hear from parents is it's hard for them, even if they're following their kids, even if they manually go through all of their feeds, it's just too much information for them. Yeah. So we have some sophisticated algorithms that allow us to flag things that parents would be concerned about. And then one of our key things is we send an alert to both the parent and the kid about the content. Mm-hmm. So that lets them have a conversation about things. It lets them hopefully learn from this moment. And a lot of times it makes the kid more comfortable because they can provide the context around what happened to help either make it understandable or help their parents help them. So, the protection really comes from, if you look at the research, I think the most important thing is engaged parents. You can't prevent bad things from happening to your kid online, and even if you did, you probably don't want to, because it's going to shelter them too much. So the research clearly says that if you have engaged parents, they're paying attention to what's happening, and you help the kids through the hard situations, what you end up with is kids that are resilient, and they have the coping skills necessary to deal with things online. And when they leave, because the kids are hopefully going to leave it one day, they'll have the skills they need to navigate social media.
I like that. How are you getting more users? So you're helping people go through the tough times, not trying to hide the tough times. I love that. How are you getting people to talk about your app?
So we're also influencer heavy. So one of the things that we know is that parents are very concerned about this problem, but they're typically not looking for a technical solution. They're not out looking for an app. But there's a lot of places where they're looking for parenting advice, you, for example, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to meet parents where they're already asking the questions. Yeah. So content first and influencers.
I like that. That's really great. Okay, next we're over to New York. Poonam Mathis is the founder of Stealth Force. She's in the real estate industry. Poonam, you've got a hurdle of overcoming the traditional mentality of staffers and stuff. Tell us what your tool or your service does, and then tell us about that hurdle and maybe how you're overcoming it.
Yeah, thanks. So Stealth Force is, in a nutshell, the only on-demand talent platform out there for real estate investment professionals. We're targeted, and we're basically uncovering a hidden market for project-based real estate consulting. Some firms use us as, just an ad hoc consulting pool, and others use us really as their personal consultant Rolodex that's been expanded worldwide. So far, we have demand coming from, entities as diverse as small developers that need acquisitions and financial modeling talent, all the way through to REITs and multinational companies that maybe are investing in new markets. We've had a good amount of success so far, and like a lot of the other companies here, we are a B2B. Mm-hmm. My biggest hurdle so far is, as you said, overcoming that traditional mentality of both investment professionals in institutional real estate as well as HR professionals. And what I mean by that is my history was in real estate private equity and real estate development. When I was there, I was hiring and unfortunately firing a lot of people when they weren't the right fit. What I learned during the process of working at the small end of the spectrum and the big end of the spectrum was that no entity in real estate investment is really immune to the talent gap. It's just that they've learned to live without. And the large companies believe that they can continue to live without because they think they have a special sauce when it comes to investment, and they have a very large payroll that they can manage. The small companies learn to live without because they see themselves as cowboy investors. When I say my biggest hurdle is to overcome that traditional mentality, it's basically the mentality that says we don't even know we need you. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And basically the way that I try to deal with that is I'm an industry insider. I left a job in this industry and start this business because I knew there was a need. So the first thing we try to do is just basically show them that we understand their business. Mm-hmm. What we're offering is really an enhancement and not a threat to the way of life. It's not usurping any of the analytical firepower or taking away from what they believe is their special sauce. In fact, we believe it will make their jobs easier. So it's really just explaining to them that we understand their business. And then
like
second,
that. So show them we understand their business and what we're going to offer will make that even better. I like that. Keep going.
Exactly. And then second, we just appeal straight to the bottom line because, in the world of real estate investment, margins are getting smaller. Large multinational investment firms that used to be able to just invest in New York, Chicago, and LA now have to look at Singapore. They have to look at Peru. They have to look everywhere to get the return. They know they're not going to get them unless they look further, but their investment committees are not changing. Their teams are large. They have a lot of expensive generalists. I used to be an expensive generalist, nothing against them. But they know deep down that real estate is a local business. That's why they got into it, because they understood what it was. That's why they got to be successful at it. And deep inside, they know they're ignoring that original wisdom. So when we present this and we explain that we're on the inside and we get it, that kind of starts to flip their mentality.
I like that. I think there's one thing that we're all looking at right now that we're talking about. Thank you, Poonam, for that. And I want to jump over to Maria to talk about this. And I, as a speaker, have given away a lot of my content for free. And, Poonam, you're talking about there's an old mentality and how do we overcome that. I'm seeing from a lot of you sharing some of this stuff and free tips, and I think Maria kind of hit on that. Maria, I want you to talk to me. You said we have a no-brainer solution that saves a bunch of time and money when you're applying to colleges, MBA programs specifically, graduate schools now, but soon to be all colleges. Talk to us about some of this free content, because I just was on a podcast, a content marketing podcast, where some of the smartest companies these days are offering all their frequently asked questions for free on the web to get discovered by even more people than they never would normally talk to. Can you talk to us about what you're giving away and how it makes you feel at first uncomfortable?
Well, so at first when I launched, I wasn't really giving a whole lot away for free because, again, I thought the pitch was such a compelling one that, right. And so then I started thinking, well, maybe I should give people a little taste. So right now, the program has about 12 modules, and right now I'm giving away the first 2 modules for free. The problem is that those 2 modules are amongst my most valuable. So they're the first 2 steps in the process where we start to think about, okay, what's your strategy going to be in applying to business school? What are the weaknesses in your profile that you might need to address? And so this is exactly the sort of advice that my competition charges hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars per hour for. And so I thought, well, the more I give away for free, the more people are going to trust me, and they're going to see that I am a subject matter expert, and they're going to see the value in the tool. The problem is that now I think I've gone too far, where I've actually talked to a few customers, and this is another great thing that I'm sure everyone is doing is, try to get on the phone with people who have tried the product but who haven't upgraded, and basically say, like, well, what could I be doing? What did you think? How did you feel when you were using the product? Did it answer your questions? And I've even had some people be very honest with me and say, you know what you gave me was so great that I kind of think I can take it on my own from here. So thanks for all that great free advice, and now I don't need to hire anyone. See ya. Yeah. And so that's something that I'm wrestling with right now as a strategy. Is I think I've gone too far in the other direction, and so how do I strike that balance?
That's a really good tip. Getting on the phone, get old school. I think a lot of us are talking about that. Getting on the old phone and saying, "Why didn't you buy?" We all have a secret sauce here. Whether we're Teacup Analytics in Tel Aviv, offering a walkthrough, making it easier because we know Google Analytics is exhausting to dive into, or whether you're in the real estate industry and there's a lot of hurdles and stuff, if you can do stuff. But I love the idea of saying, hey, you can do all this cool stuff, but here's what we're going to do that you probably don't want to do. And I think we all are offering a little bit, in some cases, to take care of the annoying part, right? And Maria, I think that's what you're doing. You're giving information around that. So I want to open this up to any of you that have another tactical tip. I don't want to cut this short. I'd love to hear, what is a funny hurdle, a blooper, something you did that you didn't even expect? Someone called you and said, I love this, and I brought 4 or 5 other people, or I wrote about it. Do any of you have a tip that maybe we didn't talk about that said, you know what, there was one thing that really led me to open up a new service, or it made an intro that I never expected? Let's jump over to Dean. Dean, talk to us about that.
Sure. I had a very interesting experience with Teacups product. I focused so heavily on small businesses and on bloggers, and then I reached out to a customer of mine from my previous company. I said, hey, just take a look. You're someone whose opinion I respect, and he's a web designer. So he helps other businesses get online, and it turns out that he does a whole lot of analytics reporting. And then I discovered that my core market might not, after all, be small businesses, but might be the people that they trust to get them online and do their reporting. And so it's actually, when I dove back into my own data, I noticed about 30% of my business was coming from web developers and web designers.
That's good to know. That's really good. And sometimes those conversations are the ones that lead. Hey, Steve, do you have any tactical tips for us? Back over to New York, and Steve, talking about maybe content marketing and how that, how you've been able to help in a way that you didn't even think about?
Well, I think in terms of content marketing and tactical approaches, nothing I'm about to say is going to be a surprise to anybody if you follow this stuff. But you have to be out there and posting content and being a presence on a consistent basis. So whether you're using Twitter or LinkedIn or Google Plus, whatever it is, as you start to build a following that's actually paying attention to what you're putting out there, you have to come back and give them more stuff, which reinforces your reputation and your conveying of your expertise. But you have to have a calendar for that. You have to treat it like it's a publication, which it is, and really commit to getting the content created and getting it put out there. As far as like unexpected things that have happened, really the only thing that I found surprising was how much personal networking wound up connecting me with potential business. You go to different networking events or meet people at different things, and that really does pay off. So it's yet one more thing you have to do to put yourself out there, but it does have benefits. So you have to exist in the virtual world and the real world, I guess.
Anybody else? Poonen, I think you had one more tip. You raised your hand.
Yeah, I actually, just hearing everybody talk, something came up that sounds simple, but I do have somewhat of a kind of a blooper, which is in my business, we are connecting potential consultants with companies that want to hire them. We have a non-circumvention clause. We don't want them being introduced to through our network and then going and doing a side agreement or whatever it is. But we also have a clause where if they identify that person through another means, then we don't earn any fees for our platform. In one case, we did make an introduction for someone, and I think the search took a little bit too long. And they basically said to us, this person sounds very familiar. Is it da-da-da-da? And they gave us the name. We couldn't reveal it, of course, but basically we lost it because we didn't move fast enough. And so while we couldn't even reveal to them that that was the person who we were going to connect with them, I guess a big piece of advice for any small business would be the minute you have a lead, run fast.
Yeah, move as quickly as you can. I think that's really wise. Jeff, do you have any fun stuff? Jeff, I want you to talk real quick, and then we're going to wrap this up. But glitter bomb, what do you have a glitter bomb in front of you? If you don't,
I don't.
Okay, what is that? An 8.5? It's like an envelope full of glitter?
Think about sending your friend a card, but dumping a ton of glitter in there so that when they open it up, it's all over you, right? And there's an extension of that which is even better. So glitter sticks to you because it sticks to wet things, but I've got something even better. Let me raise you one. We sell blizzard bombs as well. And blizzard bombs are little teeny tiny little pieces of styrofoam. And so they cling to anything with static charge. So they cling to your hands and your clothes and the wall and just everything. So if you really want to take it to the next level, what you do is you send a blizzard bomb. My tip is that there's two ways to run your business. You can give your business values and then you can talk about us and we, or you can run your business as yourself and you can use the word I and you can sign your name Jeff. And so for me, on my checkout, the last step, there's a box there that says instructions for Jeff. And when anybody sends an email back, it's always from Jeff. And it's amazing how people identify with the person on the other end compared to a big corporate entity with values that are hard to understand. So, use a blizzard bomb and figure out how to market to your customers with blizzard bombs. I'll be happy to help you out with that. And it'll always be me.
I like that. Use a single person for customer-facing communication. That's really great because it's going to start out with basically the founder or somebody anyways. That's terrific. Absolutely. Any more tips before we wrap it up? Carl, do you have any bloopers or anything that you learned for talking to real parents that are using this or seeing what teenagers are doing?
Well, there's a lot of those, but I'll share one, which is that for your business, you always need to be aware of things you depend on that are outside of your control. So for us, that was all these social networks. We've done a lot of development, and we're basically, when we do the capture of the social network traffic, we're using standard stuff that's built into iOS and Android. But what happened was then, Edward Snowden revealed the government's eavesdropping, and the FBI launched a war against crypto, against Apple. And so these companies took extreme measures. And so we knew this was all possible, but it put a kink in our development plans. And basically my advice is not just know what the risks are, because we are aware of the risk, but you need to have contingency plans that you actively work. And as a startup, that's terrible, right? Taking time away from your main development plans, your main product development, it's terrible to do that. But when the unexpected happens that's core to your business, you need to be able to have that contingency plan already being worked.
Yeah, that's really wise advice. Hey, I want to all of my guests here today, I want to thank you for being here. We've learned a tremendous lot. We've had live guests from Tel Aviv today, Seattle, Los Angeles, really close to me, New York, DC, and another New York person. Today we've talked about everything from the real estate industry to potatoes to analytics to getting your kids into college at an affordable rate to creating advertising and all kinds of different stuff. I'm honored that all of you are here. This video is brought to you by the Digital Growth Summit that happens in Los Angeles on May 6th and also in San Francisco or Sunnyvale on May 20th. Thank you to Microsoft for sponsoring this huge event where we have lots of digital experts talking about 10 different topics, 10 different sessions at each conference. If you're anywhere in the world, you can grab a virtual ticket and you can take part in all 80 different panelists and learn from them for less than $100 US. I'm Josh. I want to thank all of my panelists for being a part of this. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And as always, my friends, no matter what you do online, keep it light, bright, and polite. I'll see you guys on the next broadcast.